Okay, this is going to be a quick tidbit. Um, Yesterday, I saw someone kind of have a mini meltdown on their YouTube live. Now, interestingly enough, now I don't know what happened beforehand. I kind of came in on the tail end, and I had been just listening to this person casually, just for entertainment, no big deal. And the person did mention that they suffer from bipolar disorder. And they also admit that they can get into these depression phases. So, nonetheless, the person was having a mini meltdown, and any little thing that folks were saying in their comment, the person was snapping. So I just exited stage left and kept it moving. So it just really had me thinking about mental illness in general, and specifically mental illness in the Black community. Now, this subject is taboo in the Black slash melanated community regarding mental illness. And it really does not do any service to the individuals that are suffering mental illness, as well as the families that suffer, that has someone that's suffering mental illness. Okay. So we can, certainly go over some of the reasons for mental illness in the Black slash melanated community. And, some of this should not be of a surprise, but I do want to go over it so we can always keep that in the forefront and not brush over these things. Because a lot that is wrong in the melanated community are issues that we just will not solve or do anything about them. And mental illness fits this list as well. So, as we go over these things, some of the reasons that cause mental illness are also conditions that melanated people need to solve for as individuals and in their families. So I'm just going to go over some of the symptoms from the Health and Human Services Department. And this is mental and behavior health. And they're going to throw African Americans in there. We know we're not African Americans, we're melanated people. Okay. So, but poverty levels affect mental health status. And I'm going to replace African Americans with melanated Americans. All right. So poverty levels affects mental health status. Melanated Americans live below the poverty level as compared to those over twice the poverty level, are twice as likely to report psychological distress. In 2017, suicide was the second leading cause of death for melanated Americans between the ages of 15 to 24. Did you all know that? I didn't know that, family. I did not know that. That's huge. The death rate from suicide for melanated American men was more than 4 times greater than for melanated women in 2017. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. It's incredibly sad. but it makes sense. So that would mean that this leading cause of death between 15 to 24, the second leading cause of death for melanated Americans in the ages of 15 to 24, that means our young men, family. Do you understand what they are telling us? However, the overall suicide rate for melanated Americans is 60% lower than that of non-Hispanic white population. Melanated females grades 9 to 12 were 70% more likely to attempt suicide in 2017 as compared to non-Hispanic white females of the same age. A report from the U.S. Surgeon General found that from 1980 to 1985, the suicide rate among African American ages 10 to 14 increased 233% as compared to 120% of non-Hispanic whites. Okay, so some more stats. Serious psychological distress in the past 30 days among adults 18 years of age and over, and they're given 2015 to 2016 stats. Okay, they're saying non-Hispanic blacks 3.6, non-Hispanic white 3.7, non-Hispanic black, non-Hispanic white 1%. Okay. All right. So, serious psychological distress in the past 30 days among adults 18 years of age and over percent of the poverty level. So here they're still using 2015 to 2016 statistics. Below 100%, non-blacks 7.6, non-Hispanic whites 12.1, white, I'm just going to say white, I'm not finna read all of that, 0.6. I'm just going to say black instead of this non-Hispanic. 100% and less than 200%, 3.9% for Hispanic or non-Hispanic white, 7.6, and white 0.5, 200% less than 400%, non-Hispanic blacks 2.8, non-Hispanic white 3.1, and white 0.9. Okay, so the percentage of the population feeling sad, hopelessness, worthlessness, or that everything is an effort all or most of the time, and this is among persons 18 years of age and over. This is a 2017 stat. Sadness, non-Hispanic black 4.3, non-Hispanic white 2.6, non-Hispanic black slash non-Hispanic white 1.7, hopelessness, non-Hispanic black 2.1, non-Hispanic white 1.9, non-Hispanic black and non-white 1.1, worthlessness, non-Hispanic black 1.8, non-Hispanic white 1.8, non-Hispanic black, non-Hispanic white 1.0. Everything is an effort. Non-Hispanic black 10.3, non-Hispanic white 6.1, non-Hispanic black slash non-Hispanic white 1.7. Percentage of the population with serious psychological distress among persons 18 years and over. This is a 2017 stat. Non-Hispanic black men 2.6, non-Hispanic white 2.7, non-Hispanic black slash non-Hispanic white 1.0. Women, non-Hispanic Black, 3.7, non-Hispanic White, 4.2, non-Hispanic Black and non-Hispanic White ratio, 0.9. Whew. Here's the death rates. By sex and race. 2017. So we already kind of discussed this for men, 11.4. And I'm just going to do, let's do the non-Hispanic White, 28.2. And female, 17.9. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there with the statistics because as you can see, it is relatively grim. Okay, so what does that all really mean, family? Melanated people are suffering a lot of trauma. Those statistics are telling the direct story of the trauma we're suffering and how mentally / consciously we're not able to handle it and we're suffering greatly. And not only are we suffering, our youth are suffering. That is huge for the second cause of death among your youth is suicide. Now, I'm sure if I just did some simple research, we know what the number one cause of death would be among the youth as melanated people. It would be violence. So we're suffering trauma from living in poverty and the symptoms of living in poverty, or some of the attributes, that's a better way to state that, the attributes of living in poverty are, lack of health care, not as good access to healthy food, just scrapping to survive. And I know I'm pausing a lot, but this is it's a difficult subject to see so many people in pain and it not being talked about, not being dealt with. And this particular mental illness, this particular pain, this particular trauma is going across generations. And it has become normalized in the melanated / Black community. This is not normal. It's not healthy. It's not natural. It is not natural for children and even adults to be laced with trauma. And that trauma never gets resolved. It just gets passed on to the next generation. So when I talk about breaking the generational curses, this is also one of those issues. As a matter of fact, I would say this is a main issue. Because this trauma, the mental illness trauma, it starts in the home, family. It starts in the home. Where homes are not healthy, where abuse is going on in the home. And it's not talked about, or it's brushed up under the rug. We should not be raising a generation that is burdened with trauma. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say it slowly. We should not be raising a generation that is burdened with trauma. It is our responsibility as the elders, as the parents of these children, as caretakers, to break the cycle. And breaking that cycle, it starts with self first. You have to have yourself healthy mentally, which translates into spiritually. You have to be healthy in order to break these generational curses. Literally, not only does our babies' lives depend on it, so does their souls. So that means, as a melanated / Black community, we have to stop with the foolishness and the nonsense. Oh, well, that's where the way such and so is. Okay, so because such and so is abusive, everybody else has to suffer. Oh, well, let's not talk about that. Okay, so I was mentally hurt, or I was physically assaulted, or I've been molested, but I'm supposed to brush all of that under the rug. That's not natural. And it is not right to put that burden and ask our young folk to carry that burden. We are supposed to be setting examples for our young folks, for our babies. We are supposed to be breaking generational curses. And all of it starts mentally first, mentally consciously first. And when you can get your mental state in balance, consciously, when you can get whole, then you can start solving those physical issues like poverty, etc. But mental illness, it's directly linked to trauma. We have to heal the trauma. We cannot keep brushing over the trauma that happens within our household, within our family, within the communities. It has to stop. And it stops with each individual person. If you know family members are struggling with mental illness, you have to reach out to try to get them help. Okay? You have to reach out to get them help. Don't brush it under the rug. Get them help. Did you hear the statistics at the beginning of this? Not only are lives depending on it, I am telling you, your soul depends on it. These are things that we can solve, family. We have to solve them. And no amount of group is going to do it. I don't care how much you try to organize. If you have broken homes, you have broken spirits, broken individuals, those major problems will never get solved. Breaking generational curses is just that. It starts with self, and then within your family. And mental health is the number one issue. Because when you are healthy mentally, you are strong and healthy spiritually and consciously. Let's do it for self. Let's do it for the next generation. It is our responsibility. It should not be on our watch that our babies continue to suffer. So, and then lastly, we can definitely do it. We can definitely do it. So start now. Start small. Be truthful. Be honest. And get going. So with that, I wish everyone well. And if you are struggling, with your mental state, if you're in depression, you do what you need to do to get you healthy. And if that means you need to go talk to someone professionally, you do that. Because we are talking about your mental health, your peace of mind. You have that inherited birthright to be loved, to live in peace, to be free. And all of these things start mentally. So I'm wishing everyone well on this Tuesday. I just wanted to drop that. This was definitely on my heart. Peace and love.